Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am excellent. I'm
You're
excited to be on Naoto's Nerdy Power Hour.
you're not Nathan.
I'm not Nathan.
Who are
I'm
you?
not. I have many names. I'll introduce myself as Chris from Edmonton, and maybe some of our regulars will know my other nicknames. We'll see them pop up in the chat, but we'll go with Chris for now. How are you today, Naoto?
Good. 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 It's sunny, warm. Thinking of grabbing some meat and grilling up. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe because the piece of meat I'm thinking of grabbing is a beef tongue.
Oh, I love tongue.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm a big fan of tongue.
Yeah.
I haven't done a tongue in a while. Maybe I'll see. I'm going to the butcher shop tomorrow as well. I have a regular Saturday date with my friend Corey the butcher that runs Acme Meats in Edmonton. I don't know. I usually have to special order if I want tongue.
Corey does the Wagyu stuff as well, right?
I got some Wagyu from him last week. I got two beautiful dry aged strip loins that were like butter.
Blonde Lake Wagyu. Like there's another one that's Prairie Wagyu or something.
He does. He gets the Prairie Prime. Yeah.
I've never had theirs. I've had the Brant Lake.
They use the I think it's the Australian grading.
It's the
And the one that I had was WS6, I think. But he said that his next side is going to be 8, which is their highest one, which I'm excited about. So
nice. One of the actually Asian supermarket down here has the Blunt Lake Wagyu tongue. Nice. It's in their halal section.
Yeah. Is it really fatty?
Oh yeah, it's got especially that the back of tongue where it gets really really tender and chew. And I usually do it's a barbecue style, Japanese or Korean barbecue style, rather than the slow cook where a lot of people do for Western.
I like the pastrami style. With tongue.
It's a barbecue style, Japanese.
My phone's making noise.
Alrighty. Well, welcome to the weekly Naoto's Par Nerd Hour. Today's topic, apparently, what stones to use for different type of knives, and specifically probably more of type of steels. So I've got actually a few knives, different steels here.
That's shiny.
Some stainless steel, some high-speed steel, some. Actually, we got this knife here. It's called Cosmo knife. He's from what's that? The island in off Vancouver, Salt Lake Island, Salt Spring Island. A blacksmith making this beautiful Damascus blade. And also this is like one of those high-tech steels from a the same company as the CPM 30V and those. I think this is CPM like 90S or something like that. I'm pretty curious how it reacts to some of the stones that we have here, and the really great thing about especially the setup I have right now today is that I mentioned last week as well, but I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different 1,000 stones here.
Nice.
So it depends on how hard the stone is, different abrasive, different how much abrasives and everything. We can a little bit do a comparison. So
that's cool.
Like every week, like and subscribe if you haven't done so. We are planning on a lot of cool stuff in next couple of months. I am today. My job was to see some of the knives that we got it from Shiba, as well as editing. So I was editing Masashi-san's 2-hour-long interview. Now it's about an hour and a half. I still need to cut a whole bunch of about a halfway.
Nice.
And I'll be putting a lot of subtitles in, and I decided to go with just full in Japanese, so that it flows a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
If someone wants to listen to it, we can have our Thursday guys, Owen, dubbed on it, so that you can.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, we're working on getting a new video lead to do a little bit more editing for us, someone that's an expert, and so we can play around with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any requests as well for videos and that kind of stuff, they can always send them to me at tv@knifewear.com. And we can add that. And we're gonna be adding a whole bunch of new stuff soon.
Yeah. So and also next month. Well, last year we started this feature month called Small Makers Month, right? We said it was a really good idea. We put out some blogs about featuring some of the smaller makers, talk about them, introduce to the market here in Canada and North America and the world ultimately. And we decided to, it was a really good idea. And I had a chance and opportunity to expand our relationship with some of the newer knife makers, as well as being able to speak Japanese fluently. I am planning on doing this event, interview event with Manaka-san, Miyazaki-san, and Yoshizawa-san from Nigara-san.
Nice.
All on the one screen, not on the live stream. We are going to do everything in Japanese, record them, and we'll put that on the YouTube and the Facebook, and ultimately on the Instagram, because recorded video can be on the Instagram. So for those of you who wants to know about those guys, we'll have some document or the things on it pretty soonish, next month sometimes.
Yes.
And I'll also be interviewing a Maruyama-san from the now it's called Hado Sakai. So it'll be cool. Well, we have something coming up next Monday as well, Chris.
We do. We have episode 3 of Sharp Knives Rock with your fantastic hosts, Naoto Fujimoto, Chris Lord, and Kevin Kent's going to be there too. I wonder if he's watching. I'm just trying to make him mad because he makes everybody else mad on the show. This month's episode is I'm super excited for it. We've got a couple of in-studio guests. We've got a brewer from Calgary coming to talk about beer with us.
Yeah.
And we've got our very own Tiffany from the warehouse coming to give us a roundup on axes. And we're going to be talking, some dad stuff because it's just about Father's Day.
Yep.
I hear the Lord and the Kevin have a little bit of a challenge for each other, maybe. Yep. And so that should be good. And I hear there's some more chopstick challenge things coming as well. So
it'd be really nice, as the weather is becoming much nicer and a lot of restrictions have been, lifting. It's good time for people to enjoy beer on patio, right? Yes. So we'll have the a brewer from the we can probably say that, right? The brewer from the establishment brewing company here in Calgary talk about their beer. So for those of you who like to watch some fun, entertaining show called Sharp Knives Rock, tune in on Monday next week. Starting from 3 p.m.
Yes, 3 p.m. Mountain Time.
Mountain Time. So
that should be a good show. I'm excited. I'm excited to see some new people do the chopstick challenge. There might be an update on the bit of an argument that's happening. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that.
We have a new equipment.
We do. It should be. We don't have to rely on Nathan.
Yeah.
And his timing skills.
Yeah, we have new equipment that's coming up, so that's pretty cool. Anyways, for those of you who just joined, welcome to the Naoto's Nerd Power Hour. Naoto's Nerd Power Hour. Here's on the right hand or left hand corner right there. Today we're talking a little bit more focused on the final edge, which is the we call it the koba, or some people call it micro bevel. As the Japanese knives, or most knives, are made with the spine thick, and it kind of tapers it down, whether it's like gradual taper or something like this with the so-called shinogi line here, right? And the last bevel is final bevel right here, less than a millimeter thick, but this is basically the first place that touches on the food. And this, how smooth the micro bevel is, it will determine how it enters the food. There are some arguments. I was actually editing Masashi-san's video. I remember he's saying, if you're cutting meat, it's actually nicer to have a little bit of teeth on it, stuff like that.
I don't mind a little bit of tooth, depending on what I'm cutting, right? Like if you're slicing into a tomato, it's all right to have some teeth on there.
A little bit, yeah. So what I'm going to try today is that I do have 4 knives here made with the VG10 Aogami number 2, R2, and the this I think it's it's a Cosmo knife from blacksmith in Salt Spring Island. I think CPM 90S or some sort of very high-tech steel, which our coworker had this knife. So
is that the core steel on it? Is the Damascus laminated on the outside?
Yeah, there's a core steel right there. So I'm going to test out and see how well it grinds, how it reacts. So I'm going to, in order to test these out, I want to do it a little bit more fair, right? So I'm going to start from something like this. Knifewear 1000. So I'm going to use 5 different 1000 stones today. S90V. Thank you, Colin. He's watching.
Thanks, Colin.
That was close enough, though. 90.
It's a whole alphabet and all the numbers that you have to remember. So.
And it doesn't say on this one. Colin, that's okay. I got your handle wrapped, and I don't get all the gunky stuff. All other ones are demoed, so it doesn't have those. Anyways, so today, what I'm going to do is I have 5 different 1000 stones kicking around here at the warehouse. I'm going to start from not so much on how aggressive those stones are. I'm changing the grits, not the grits, how soft they are. So I'm going to start from this Knifewear 1000 stone. One of my favorite stone to get the really nice kasumi. It's really relatively fast, but pretty soft. I mean, soft isn't that bad, but sometimes it's not necessarily great. So what I'm going to start is that our not a favorite, the usual, like we have a lot of knives made out of this. This looks like Tojiro Flash. This is their new line, which we weren't quite sure.
It's a funny handle.
Yeah, it's like a crocodile handle.
I'll make that bigger.
So, oh wait, someone's here.
Someone's at the door.
Okay,
it's like Mr. Rogers.
Give me one.
Blank was asking what we were talking about with the S90V. One of the knives that Naoto is going to be testing on the 1000 grit stones today is S90V steel from a small maker on Salt Spring Island. The knife actually belongs to our assistant manager in the Calgary shop, Colin, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll be sharpening that. I'm wondering who's at the door. I just started watching Mr. Rogers with my children, and every time the doorbell rings now, they get very, very excited because of that show. And now Naoto's disappeared to find out who's at the door at the warehouse and what's being delivered.
It was just some kid stuff. Okay. All right. So first of all, let's use this. This is basically like a Tojiro Flash. So it's got VG10 core and a little bit of Damascus. And today I'm going to just sharpen the last bevel. So
nice. Patrick is asking if the Knifewear 1000, is it the same as the Naniwa traditional T211 or T210? And they're basically the same, right?
That's T211. Okay. T210 is those brown ones we used to have.
Right. Okay.
It's different hardness. This is softer.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is see how fast this raises the burr. Here we go. It's nice and even. It was pretty sharp. So just so you know, it wasn't that like dull or anything like that.
So this is just a touch up, really. You're not
nice and nice. Take the burr off. And what I'm going to do is test out, do the same thing for all the knives. Can't really see it.
No. Here, we'll put it on. There you go. Your guitar. I have a matching one.
Do that.
Knife sharpening is rock and roll, man.
This looks like a bass. Big bass.
The sad thing is I've never impressed anyone with my guitar playing.
I'm okay with singing.
I know. We've heard you. For those of you that haven't heard Naoto, go back and watch episode 2 of Sharp Knives Rock, and he will serenade you, and it's wonderful and beautiful.
I used to be in a band as well in Japan back then.
I think I knew that.
So here, this is the Knifewear 1000 VG10 stainless steel. We know kind of results because we've sharpened it.
We've done it
quite sometimes. Pretty nice and smooth. I strap it with the leather strap right here. Okay. So this is our base point. This is the starting point. It's pretty good. It cuts. I've raised the burr on one side and the other side, so its whole edge is 1000 grit right now. Okay. So next, I'm going to sharpen this Aogami number 2 core stainless clad the Tsunehisa with the 1000 grit. This also, this has been sharpened a few times, it looks like. So this one actually does need a little bit of a thinning, but I'm gonna ignore that today.
Your mic is really good. You can hear the progression.
Oh, mic is
maybe it's just my earphones.
Microphone is a little bit farther, but you know what we should make? We should make a just the video with the 2 microphones and like SMR or something like that. You put
the ASMR of just the sharpening noise.
Yeah.
So you can hear when it's time to progress to the next stone.
Yeah.
But then it'll be really quiet and you'll get those clicks. And then you'll be sad. Oh, my dudes over at Knifewear Edmonton just said that they did the same thing. They can hear the steel changing on the stone. It must be quiet. They've turned the music down if they can hear you over there. They had 90s punk rock on in the shop today, and it was loud and obnoxious, and I liked it. Do we have any questions? Fighting Usyk says he's going to smoke a beef roast tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
So I told him that he needs to send us some pictures.
Nice.
While you're working on that, I'm going to go back here. Blank's worried that he's not going to be able to catch the whole thing live, and he wanted to know what he thinks about the sharpening technique of creating a burr on every stone, even up to the finishing stone, versus creating your edge bevel on your low grit 1000, then stropping on progressively higher stones up to the finisher.
It's not wrong to raise the burr, and ideally I would like to actually raise the burr on the like finishing stones like 4000 as well. Not only the burr though, you have to be a little bit more careful because your burr is good indication, but also sometimes it's the indication. It doesn't really tell if you actually have polished at the side enough as well. Sometimes like even if you have a burr on the one side, there are some like spots that you can, if you reflect the light on them, you see like, oh, there's spots that's like has a little foggy look to it after 4000. So there are multiple factors. Raising the burr is definitely one of the better ways to tell. But like once you getting into the much like nerdier part of sharpening, rely on like one indicator may not be as great, right?
I always find that I have old chef fingers that don't feel anything. And so once I get above about 1,000, it gets more difficult for me to feel a burr because I'm not raising a very big one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always find that, sometimes even just taking a close enough look at it, you can see your scratch marks and your progression if you catch it in a good enough light. And that tends to work better for me than trying to feel for a burr with fingers that don't feel anything anymore.
Yeah. This knife is very interesting. This was for some reason got returned from a customer. The beveling job is it's got little actually concavity on the micro bevel.
Oh, that's weird.
That's weird. They might have actually put on one of those stones like a Termac system or something like that. That will make the micro bevel a concave, right? Because once you put it on the bevel like this and sharpen them, it touches on the edge and tiny bit of above. I wish I could show that one.
Let me see if
it's hard.
It's tough to see.
Right here.
Oh, maybe a little. Oh, it looks a little higher there.
Yeah. So it's got a little concavity on it. So, well, it's got the edge on them. So
is it just at the heel there?
Yeah, at the heel. Yeah.
Could it be a strike point from something like a steel?
Could be.
I see that a lot in like young cook's knives that get really aggressive with their steel, where you see that kind of like divot at the back. Right.
You know what? That only took a few strokes to get rid of it. So.
No, Marcus is making a good point. He says it's amazing how good a $50 microscope with an LCD screen actually is. Yeah, if you want to get really granular and look at your edges, that works good. We when we do straight razors, we often use a jeweler's loop to get right down for some of them to see if we're missing anything.
I do have a microscope that connects to my phone via Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I got a couple of pictures.
I just like the jeweler's loop because I have to make really ridiculous faces when I use it to make it work.
Yeah.
I feel like a little old man. Which knife are you doing now? Which one's that?
R2, Kurosaki Shizuku.
Oh, okay, nice. Well, that relates to Fighting Usyk has a question. This is where do you put sharpening SRS 15 compared to SG2 or HAP 40?
You know what? You want to like the secret? Not a secret. You know what? SRS 15 is the same steel as SG2 or R2.
Like exactly?
Yeah.
I knew they were close. I don't think I knew that they were the same.
What happens is that R2 is the name that the Kobelco, the Kobe steel, makes, right?
Yeah.
And that steel goes to the Takefu special steel for cladding.
Oh.
That becomes SG2 apparently. And and that same steel goes to the other company and being cladded, they call it the SRS 15.
So in theory, they should sharpen pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same. From the experience though, because we only have one SRS 15 line right now. Yeah. There are some Takefu guys made the SRS 13 knives, but we have only Haruyuki Yokuma or Kuma with SRS 15. They are slightly thicker than a lot of SG2 or R2 knives that we carry.
Yeah.
So because it's the bevel, the micro bevel is a little bit thicker, it takes tiny bit longer to sharpen.
Oh, that makes sense. Because that would have been the thing that I said, is that SRS 15 you work a little bit longer on.
Yeah, because we only have one knife, right?
That's the only one I've ever really sharpened, I think. And then HAP 40. I'm interested how you sharpen HAP 40 because I've got an old Mugen 210 Gyuto that I love, but I leave it really toothy because it's a workhorse, right? And so I usually sharpen it on a 1000 Pro or the Chosera, and just leave it on that because I usually use it to work real hard and I don't need it to be a laser beam, and it's probably a little thick at this point, but I don't want to deal with thinning out the Damascus on it, and I use it to smash through things because it's invincible and it's been sharp forever. So how do you finish HAP 40?
The HAP 40 again, it's great. I often use one of those finer Wyoto finish.
Okay, yeah.
100 grit stone that spins, so it gives you a little bit more, tiny bit finer than the just regular 2500 stones.
Yeah.
It's almost like 4000 edge.
Okay. I'm gonna have to bring mine in and try it on that stone.
Yeah, that stone is really good.
I love finishing on that stone. A lot of the Takamura stuff that I sharpen, I'll finish on that stone, and you can get them real nice. The SG2 and R2 kind of stuff. Adam Yarbo wants to know when Small Makers Month is. We're doing it in July.
Yeah, we may start at the next episode of the Sharp Knives Rock. It's great to showcase, right?
Yeah. So we'll probably talk a little bit about that.
Weeks, but into July. But let's see. We're planning on a lot of different interviews, blog posts, features. So yeah, and hopefully we get some small makers knives too.
Yes.
Yeah, but so just so you know, who just for those of you who just tuned in, missed that the first little bit of part of the our show today, we're focusing on the different steels, different sharpening, different steels, and different stones. So I'm actually testing 4 different knives made with 4 different steels, with probably 4 or 5 different stones as well.
Yeah, right now you're working on the Knifewear 1000 stone.
Yeah,
which is a softer 1000 stone.
It's great. It requires a little bit more chewing because it's softer. But
yeah, you can definitely wear that guy down in a hurry, especially if you're doing a lot of thinning on it. But I love the finish that you get with it too.
Yeah, it's got a really nice smooth edge, relatively fast. Even the R2 or SG2 steel like this gets grind down pretty fast as well. And from what I tested these 3 right now, the same finish, same stone, the 1000. The obviously, not obviously, but the you might have guessed, SRS 15 got the smoothest. When I'm testing on the newspaper, that's when I'm like seeing how smooth the edge is, right? And has a high-speed powder steel. The powder, it's even, right? So it gets really nice smooth edge.
Did you do that? I don't think I saw it, or wasn't paying attention. Blank saying the S90V knife, the Cosmo. Have you put that one on the 1000 yet?
that's next.
That's next. That's what I thought.
It's like when I eat something, I always leave my favorite or something I want to try at the very end.
To the end.
Yeah.
You and my wife, she's the same thing. I can always tell if I make something that she doesn't like because it disappears off her plate right away. Here's a great question. I remember seeing this on Tuesday. DJ was asking about a female blacksmith, Mizuki Mori. Do you know that name? They say they're working with Konosuke.
No, not really. The only few female blacksmith that I know is few. I actually know few. The one is obviously that who is it? The Tojiro.
Sayaka.
Sayaka-san.
Yes.
Koda Sayaka-san. Also, there's another. So I just moved to the 90. Another blacksmith. She's not necessarily a kitchen knife maker, but she is working with the this knife maker called Baishinshi in Niigata Sanjo. They are more like Kogatana and those people there.
Okay.
I've read their blog before that they do have the female work.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which workshop she's working at though, right? Because you have to be in certain workshop, especially in the Sakai. Blacksmithing workshop is quite a bit different from the sharpener's workshop.
Oh, okay.
So I know Tanaka-san doesn't have any female because the Tanaka-san, the Tanaka-san's place, they only have 3, two, like his son, and also the Okugami-san, the younger guy working there. So I knew there was a female blacksmith in the works because one of the blog was saying that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't quite sure where she was and how she was.
We'll have to keep an eye out for those.
Yeah.
So that's the Cosmo that you're working on there?
Yeah. You know what? This works really fine. It's tough steel. It was thin enough. I just put that on the 1000. I have the burr. Yeah,
that was quick.
Yeah.
It was fairly sharp to begin with, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty sharp. I actually did this one. I looked at with the. I actually used the microscope to see how the edge was.
Yeah.
It was used quite some time, right? It was used a few times, so I could see that the little bit more scratches along the edge as well as tiny chip. But as far as how fast it makes the burr, it's actually not that bad. Again, this was pretty thin knife, right?
Do you know what kind of hardness you get out of an S90V? Gary's saying that he's got a Benchmade that he sharpens on a 1000, 6000 that's S90V, and it does pretty well.
I mean, the hardness probably is like a 60. I was just gonna double check what's the percentage carbon, but the as you may some of you may know and probably knows so it's got quite a bit of carbon on it, like 2.3%. It's a lot of carbon.
That is.
But for the steel itself, so basically what hard steel means is the you see that the steel Fe the thing, and they will include those carbon in the structure that is making the steel hard, right? So they expand as they heat treat it, and in that space they it gets the carbon in it.
Oh, okay. So it kind of fills the gaps.
Yeah, but theoretically speaking, only 0.7% up to 0.7% of carbon will be basically fused into those steels.
Mm.
All the leftovers will form so-called carbide.
Right.
So the leftover carbon will connect with other things to become a crystals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but those crystals or the carbides are one of those things that can become can become an edge, or those little
the little
toothiness, or So the reason why I'm working a little bit more is that I could still see a tiny chip on them. So
Blank and Usyk are talking about. So Blank says that he, what does it say? The 10V didn't do good at all on the Chaucera 800, and the S110V didn't do well either. And Usyk says it's something about the physics, because you'll never get an edge that takes advantage of the high vanadium steel's properties off of something other than diamond or CBN.
Let's see. Well, this one, the Knifewear 1000 worked really well with the Cosmo S90V. It grinds, but it's got the little. I think probably, although it's a high speed, almost like a powder steel, I think the amount of carbide is quite a bit. I actually can hear a lot more toothiness than it was pretty close.
You can pick that up.
Let's see.
Get it right next to the microphone there.
Yeah. This is R2. S90B.
Oh, it's way toothier.
Yeah. So it's a bit toothy. Then I can feel it. So it's great. It still does great job with the Knifewear 1000 stone. I think it's just the the condition or the characteristics of that knife steel itself makes the knife little bit more toothier. I may have to work a little bit more on again the initial condition of the knife was not equal, right? Some are sharper than others to start with. So this I will try a few other stones and see how this S90B knife will become. Okay.
Yeah, curious to see the other stones, especially some of the harder ones.
Yeah. So next one is the this guy here, the Sharpening Glass 1000. It's pretty good all around. It will keep the flatness a little bit longer, but still you need to flatten them.
So it looks like Colin's saying the Cosmo knife is meant to be plus or minus 60 on the Rockwell.
Oh, that explains it's not that hard.
Not that hard.
That's got lots of a carbon though. It's 2.3% carbon.
So he probably could have made it harder, but do you think that would have made it more of a pain to sharpen then?
I think so. Well, it depends on the vanadium, how much the molybdenum or vanadium it's in the steel too.
Yeah,
makes the wear resistance much higher.
Right. P0 saying hello from Spain. Hola. He says when he's doing a paper test, I usually pay more attention to the sound of the cut. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. I'm usually listening more than I'm watching when I do a paper cut, unless I've done something terrible and then I'm looking at what the hell did I do wrong.
Yeah, sound, and if you do it like, I guess numbers, you start to actually feel in your hand, like the hand that you're holding your knife to, be like, yeah. Okay, so the Sharpening Glass 1000, magnesium bond, slightly softer than some. The Knifewear 1000 is it's baked, but it's baked very soft, so it reacts to the steel really, really nice. Again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm sure a lot of people are just curious about this particular knife there. I'm just going to do.
Nice, yeah. Gary missed it. That's the Sharpening 1000, right?
Sharpening Glass 1000, yeah.
I like using that stone for starting straight razors.
Yeah.
Because it's always nice and true. You can bring everything back to where it needs to be.
Make sure you true them.
Oh yeah, no, that's a must with straight razors. It's so easy to screw one up. But when you got nice flat stones, the secret, I think, is that doing straight razors is easier. As long as the straight razor's straight. It's when you get the really old ones that have a bend in them or something like that.
Then, see if it touches all the way through, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's why this stone is great, though. It's because it's white. It kind of shows where it touches. Yeah,
you were showing me that trick with the single bevels.
Like even this, like
where you can lay it down and see how flat it is.
Here, you can see those marks that looks like it's been, it's like the kid just drew on something, right?
I use the Knifewear 8000 for that a lot.
Yeah. But if the knife is bent or the straight razor is bent, just push it push it in, and you can see where it's not touching.
Yeah.
So again, pretty easy, straightforward. I didn't have to remove that much of steel off because it's one of those sample knives that didn't need much of sharpening. Just using it for testing purposes.
I have a stropping question because we were discussing this in the shop the other day.
Yeah.
It always looks like you strop at a slightly higher angle than you.
Am I?
Than you're sharpening at. Maybe, I don't know. I always find that if I do one or two strokes right at the end, slightly higher, I'm more likely to grab any of those last few stubborn burrs that might be getting in my way.
You don't want to do it lower.
No, that doesn't do anything. But
it can well be because as you push it on the straight the leather as well, leather will kind of give a little bit.
Yeah.
So you're not really holding at the exact angle.
No, you're not going to fold anything over either. So
this one's great. I just touched it up and I just tested on the paper.
Well, let's hear that.
It's VG10. It's actually pretty smooth.
That's not too bad for 1,000.
Yeah, I know.
I feel lately that VG10 hasn't been getting the love it deserves from a lot of people. And
when it's something like this, it's fine. I just hate when I have to thin it.
Oh yeah, no, I don't like that at all. But it's a great, just kind of solid everyday person's kitchen knife.
Oh yeah,
I've got an old Anryu 240 and the Hikari.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
VG10, and it's a tank. It holds a good edge for a long time, and it's awesome.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. The VG10 didn't make it to my favorite 10 steels because from my sharpener's perspective,
Right.
Right? As the I hate to thin, and the VG10 became notorious after a Shim made the knives with the VG10 and made it too thin, and sold it to, from my perspective, to too many audiences and too broad of people, so that you see knives coming back with all the chips.
They had a set. It was a massive block.
Yeah.
And they dropped them all in. And I can remember there was a period where we'd get one a week, and there would be, I think it was an 18-piece set, and every knife that came out of the block was chipped because people would just throw them back into the block. And, and then you'd have to thin them, and it was a nightmare, and it would take forever. And I'd go through a green wheel a week.
Yeah, so it's the, don't get me wrong, the VG10 is great steel for knife making, right? And for as the consumers or the users, it's a great steel. It takes such smooth edge with 1000 grit. Right?
I think we should do a comparison of what the Sharpener's top 10 steels are versus the kitchen guys' top 10 steels are. Because I think that they would be very different. Because when I was working, I had 2 VG10 knives that I used for everything because they were easy to take care of. They were decent to sharpen, and I never had to think about them.
Very, very less chance of getting those rust holes, like pit rusts as well, where R2 and some other steels will get a little bit more easier with the pit, like the pit rusts, pit holes.
Pitting,
Pitting, I've never.
Unless you soak it, you see them every once in a while. You can tell when they've been in the dish pit, and there's like sanitizer or something in it because those ones, the VG10 will pit with that stuff. Yeah, and it's a nightmare. But
but the regular, it really depends on the how, I guess, vulnerable to those chloride. It's a chloride that's the bad thing, right?
Yeah.
And if you think about it, regular tap water has chlorine in it. Yeah. Little bit, right? So actually, little bit of chlorine on the tap water we can cause the pitting on the steel as well.
Yeah, if you leave it on there long enough, right?
Yeah, and in the sink with the metals. They will, so the water and the chlorine will kind of strips the little fine, so-called the stainless steel layer film off. And the different metal, it's like how the battery works, right? 2 different metals in the liquid.
Yeah.
Sometimes the 2 different metals, like stainless zinc, and the water, actually creates this floating electron.
Oh.
And these electrons will go through the steel.
That's a heck of a science project.
Yeah, that creates the pitting.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Mark is asking what the best way to get rust off a very rusty knife is. Barkeeper's friend.
And
it's a good place to start. And a rust eraser.
Yeah, both.
Some elbow grease.
Yeah. Yep. The Barkeeper's friend is surprisingly great tool.
I'd love it. I'm so glad that we carry it in store now because it's so handy. We use it all the time. We used it at Kent of Inglewood we use the liquid stuff at Kent of Inglewood for straight razors a lot. Because you get, I found my grandpa's straight razor. Can you make it sharp again? And I'm like, well, let me make it not rusty first.
Yeah, it's a great thing. And also the Barkeeper's friend, it's not really scratching that much. So like when you get a Shimo pretty rusty, just use the Barkeeper's and just brings a very similar finish back as well.
It does. I have a very cool Shimo that I'm neglectful of, and every once in a while I'll have to take the Barkeeper's friend too. I have a Shimo Bunka.
Oh yeah.
And I love that knife. It's so thin, but it's probably rusting with me just talking about it right now.
Great thing. I'm actually gonna move. I moved to the this blue.
Oh, you're on a little good. Yep.
Great thing about this particular knife being that very thick is that the cobalt or the micro bevel is thicker, right? So I can actually see how shiny it becomes after, like different.
Can we pick that up? Well, maybe a little bit.
Maybe. From my eyes, or from 1000 grit that I was using, Knifewear 1000 to here, this stone seems to be tiny bit finer. So
okay, yeah,
you can see that the edge actually has a bit more shine to it.
Cool.
It will definitely change. As I know the fact that the Pro, Naniwa Pro, or Chosera, formerly known as Chosera,
yep,
is finer, right?
Yeah. Mark Laporte's also asking about best way to protect and maintain the handle. Well, if it's a wooden handle, I'd love to use Knifewear board wax on it. It's got some mineral oil in it that's going to keep it hydrated. It's going to seal it up to keep some water out of it. And then when you're washing it, try and keep it out of the sink all the time. You can get it wet, but I usually just try and wash the blade.
Yeah. It's a wood. Treat like a wood.
Yeah.
Most of it, yeah.
Some of them are more durable than others. But you know, keep them dry. Oil and wax them every once in a while, and you should be good to go.
This knife, one of the thicker knives are great to test. Thinner knives that I was working on, like these guys, is already been thinned out, or it was pretty sharp to begin with, or something like this. It's still pretty thin. This was quite thick, so I had to grind a lot more than the other 2 or 3. Great thing is that it tells you a little bit more the response that you get from how fast it's grinding and stuff like that. This is great. From what I'm actually working on, this tells me a lot about.
You're just getting a little more feedback.
Yeah, how fast this is cutting.
Yeah. So is the Sharpening, do you think the Sharpening's cutting faster than the Knifewear?
You know what? Like for this blue carbon steel, Knifewear 1000 cut faster. This is a bit finer.
So it gives you a nicer polish.
Very not that much of the difference, but it's the difference that I can feel. Yeah, I can feel it's sliding a little bit with this stone, a little bit more slipping type of feel. Less grind. Yeah, and then also this one's hard too, right? But this is great stone, and again, it's a little bit finer, as I can see, the edge polished up tiny bit better than the 1000. You may not be able to see it.
Maybe it's tough. We need a microscope for YouTube.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to.
Fighting Usik makes a good point. Having splash and go stones is helpful. Yes, it is. Not everyone has room for a soaking bucket of rocks all over the place all the time.
Yeah. I did a Sharpening at home, and it works fantastic. The Sharpening I have is I have the the Sharpening, some people call it Pro Series. They don't call Pro Series. They are actually called Kuromaku Series. It's it's not the glass. I bought it in Japan.
Yeah.
There was a tiny bit of. Sorry,
You're just a perfectionist is the problem. No, I use the Knifewear 1000 at home, and I think that one of my favorite stones. I don't know if it's in one of the 5 that you're going to use today, but is the Pro or the Chosera, formerly known as Chosera. I love that stone, and I should get one at home. because I always leave a mess all over the kitchen whenever I soak my 1000, and then my wife gets mad at me.
That's the second last one that I'm using.
Nice.
So, all right, so I'm gonna, you know what? Before I get to do that, I'm just gonna try. I have both sides.
So Kevin was saying on Tuesday, and I'm curious about your opinion, kind of the difference between roughing up a stone with a diamond plate like you're doing versus using a truing stone. And he was saying that he thinks that using the truing stone after using the diamond plate allows it to cut faster because the surface of the stone is less smooth.
Not really, because what's cutting is the abrasive.
Yeah.
It definitely feels a little bit. Especially, it depends on how much so it's like, you know, how those stones are made. It's the whole bunch of abrasive, and it's like concrete.
Yeah.
Wait, cement? No, concrete. Concrete is the cement with the So concrete is a cement with a whole bunch of the bits.
Yeah.
Yes. So the sharpening stone's like a cement, right? Huh? Wait, concrete.
Like concrete, like it's got stuff in it.
It's got stuff in it.
Yeah.
So those ones that's exposing outside is the ones that's actually doing the grinding job.
Yeah.
Sometimes though when you're making the edge the surface too smooth, you feel like it's not doing much because I think it just needed to go tiny bit deeper to have those heads of
expose
expose that the abrasive.
Okay. He was referring to it like when they use the giant wheel and they take the axe to it, right, to rough up the surface of the wheel, and because that makes it grind a little bit faster, doesn't it? You don't want that wheel to be super smooth.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're basically making that surface more
more surface area. Okay.
More surface area that expose more stuff.
So that makes sense.
That too, yeah. And also it kind of grates it a little bit with that. Yeah. But it's got a lot more size. Like right. when you're using the eraser, you want to have the square size.
Right. That wheel terrified me. I got to use the one in Itches End at Calgary Knife Village there, and it takes steel off in a hurry. And when you're leaning over it like that, it's a little nerve-wracking.
There are when I went to this trip last year, the last trip that we did take to Japan. So it was it
was like January 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Supposedly half my private trip and half business trip, and I basically ended up doing all the business. It was fun. Yeah. But anyways, I went to this Masashi Fujirasa, very confusing name. But he's this guru of this sharpening.
Yeah.
He never agreed with that method. It is faster.
Yeah.
But it just heats up the steel too much.
Ooh.
Because heat with the nicely tempered steel.
Yeah.
It's not great, right?
So even with it being wet and them trying to keep it cool, it's still
you see some guys they just spark it up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because those wheels they haul.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to make a knife when I was at Takafu Knife Village, and then when they said, "Here, lean over this thing and grind it now," I went, "Oh dear."
That's really hard too. You can't really see where you're grinding as well.
No, it's especially because you put it on the board and then you lay the board on the on the stone and you can't see at all what you're doing, and you look it up and the next thing you know, you're like, "Oh, you're a little thin there."
Yeah, I done that with the Masashi-san. Yeah, and war, like when you're supposedly doing that crochet and you just grind the crochet part and like,
yeah.
Oh, yep.
I got to hammer a couple of knives with the Moritakas, and they were very nice because they gave me a little stamp and I put my initials in the knife, and then they threw them in the bucket, and they said the reason that they put the initials on them was because mine was so good they wouldn't be able to tell the difference between mine and theirs, and then they did all the grinding work and put the handle on for me and finished it, and I can actually use those as a knife as opposed to the one that I made completely myself, which just sits in a box because it's not really a great knife.
That's nice. Yeah, I get to do a little bit of forging there as well.
Nice.
Here again, sharpening on this Sharpening Pro, and I think because it has already been sharpened with 1000 grit, the Knifewear 1000. Knifewear 1000 cuts a bit faster. Maybe because the abrasive, as I said, this is tiny bit finer stone than Knifewear 1000. How it polishes. That may be because as well. It's gray stone, but if you compare those two straight up, this one here is tiny bit slower, tiny bit. Okay, but it doesn't really tell you how smooth the edge is either.
Right.
Second.
Yeah, play us that music on the strop, your rock and roll strop.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually pretty, again, darn good. The edge is, but there are a few sections that I can feel it's a little bit rougher.
Yeah, like 2/3 of the way down there, it sounded a little rougher. It sounded smoother than it did off the Knifewear 1000 though, for sure.
But it's tiny bit rougher. We have to look at with the. And it feels like I have to wash them really well as well, but it feels like it's got tiny, like small.
Is something on it, or is it still that chip?
Maybe like tiny small chips, because I can feel them with my nails. I should have started from something like scratch, like 220, and just made it fresh.
Blank wants to know if you're going to use any diamond stones. Probably not, eh?
No, the ones that we have is too aggressive.
They're too coarse, yeah.
There's Naniwa makes the so-called diamond, not like plate like these guys. It's more like a regular stones, but they use the abrasive diamond as abrasive, so they mix and they, they're apparently it's fast. We did have one or two actually sample kicked around. I couldn't remember where it went. It's fast, but it's pretty expensive, and the amount of the surface that you get to sharpen is very thin.
Right.
Yeah. So alrighty, next this is something that we don't carry. I'm not quite sure. We have a lot of 1000 stones, so I'm not quite sure if you're going to carry this. This is Naniwa's new-ish stone. That is that is really popular among the carpentry those people.
For like doing chisels and stuff.
Chisels and planes. This here is nice and hard, vitrified, so it's a baked stone.
Yeah.
That keeps that flatness really nice and long as well.
Yeah, the carpentry crowd really appreciates that Anna stone. Something real hard that's easy to keep true.
Yeah, I got one of those as a practice. I got one of the Japanese plane blades the other day.
Oh, nice.
I just basically told one of the suppliers saying I want to really become very good at sharpening.
Yeah.
And sharpening plane blades is next level because you're making, when you're especially planing a wood, you're making a wood perfectly straight, perfectly flat. So that sharpening is the next level, and I wanted to be, decent at it. So he's like, here is the, inexpensive but really well made, whatchamacallit, the plane. Play with it. I'm like, yeah, thank you.
I had a fella who used to come to the shop regularly. I haven't seen him in a while. Who'd gone to Japan to train in woodworking.
Ooh.
And he spent 3 years there. And he said the first year, his job was to sweep the shop and watch.
Yeah.
And he wasn't allowed to say anything. He wasn't allowed to ask any questions, just sweep and watch. And he said that the second year he was allowed to ask questions, but they told him if he asked a question that he should already know the answer to from listening, that they would send him home. But he stayed for 3 years, and his woodworking stuff was gorgeous. Like his joints and everything were like amazing.
Sometimes it's like great. Sometimes I think it's the that type of tradition. It kind of shows or the tests the dedication. Yeah, like definitely that tests the dedication. Whether that particular individual is, because especially something like a carpentry for traditional buildings like a shrines, or the old palaces and stuff, that really requires dedication, right? So there are a lot of traditional crafts in Japan that test you like that.
Test like that. Well, kitchens used to be like that to an extent, maybe not to that extreme, right? But it was very much, you come in, you clean up, you watch, and you learn. And when we tell you that you're ready, you're ready.
Yeah. But
So how similar is this new Naniwa to the Chosera then?
Different type of make. This, from what I have been using, this cuts a little faster. It doesn't have the slipping feel sometimes I feel with the Naniwa.
Yeah.
Chosera or the Pro series. Also, this one is, as I sharpen this, polish it's not as fine. It doesn't actually shine as much as the Shapton did.
A little cloudier.
But I can see though the bevel is a little bit more flatter. Definitely harder stone.
Yeah.
So it keeps the bevel really nice and flat. Some of the softer stones, once you push it in,
pushing a little, right?
Yeah, tiny bit of a tiny convexity goes on, but this one is pretty flat.
It's pretty hard then.
Yeah, and it has really nice response to it. Yeah, I like it. It's not universal stone. That's why I'm a little bit more hesitant. It's maybe a little too
specific for people.
Yeah. Again, as I said, first Knifewear stone worked really well.
I love that stone. Just to remind people, the knife that you're working on right now is blue 2, right?
Blue 2, yeah. Blue number 2 carbon steel core. It really requires a lot of thinning. I don't do the thinning today. Just wanted to check what different stones will give different type of smoothness, edge, different steels, and all that jazz today. Yeah.
On the point of thinning, Fighting Usyk's asking about sharpening and thinning SLD or D2. How you feel about that?
Again, it really depends on what type of steel that they use on the outside. I thinned the Masashi-san's Kemuri, which was pretty easy.
Yeah.
The core steel is SLD. Outer layer is probably 420 or some sort of like very soft stainless steel. But when it comes to thinning, for example, a shiroshu or kuroshu, it will be much harder because he actually uses harder stainless steel on the outside.
And with those guys, is there more cladding on them? Like, is the cladding just thicker? Because I don't know if it's because it's Damascus or if it's just thicker in general.
Yeah, it is thicker and a little bit heavier. So if you actually I don't know if you notice, his engraving on the Kuroshu or Shiroshu is very fainted almost, right?
Is that because it's so hard and he has to beat it in a little bit harder?
Yeah, he doesn't it doesn't go in it. Like his chisel or the tool is not it's not hard enough sometimes.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And I think with thinning, that's the thing to remember, right? Is that the cladding steel is as important, if not more important, than what the core steel is for how hard it's going to be.
Yeah, because you're sharpening. Okay. R2 on this Naniwa, it's called Hibiki series. Okay. So
I have a good feeling about these ones. I don't know why, but I feel like if the stone is as hard as you say it is, and R2, they probably are going to get along really well.
It's not sliding. That's good. How I feel, very similar to the Shapton glass in terms of how, like the reflection or the feedback I'm getting on my.
Oh, Damon is joining us. He says we can start now because he's finally joined us. He says, "Good old Friday. Sure is hot in front of the ovens today." Yeah, I don't miss working in kitchens in the summertime. Let me tell you. Lordy and I were complaining about that yesterday. What do you think? Fast burr?
It's fast burr. Yeah, it's fast. Again, it's not as shiny as the the Shapton Glass 1000.
So not as shiny, but
it's fast.
It burred up real fast.
Great. The feedback is great. Pretty nice and smooth. Pretty nice and smooth. There's no much roughness to it. Yep. This stone is really good. I often use this stone when I'm thinning. From the stage where I do a green wheel to do the pretty rough grind, then pink wheel, a little bit of finer stone, finer wheel to take all the scratches off. Mm-hmm. But the after that, it still has the tiny bit of bumps on the side. I actually use this to kind of even that part out. Then I start doing that the bit of the more like putting the makeup on type of sharpening.
The beautification.
Yes.
Oh, I like this. Swiss guy is here and he says he likes this professional announcer tonight. I assume he's talking about me. Swiss guy sends me emails all the time, usually complaining about Kevin and Lordy and what a terrible job they do.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, so here. I didn't do this CP S30V.
Oh yeah, you got to do that one because otherwise, Blank will be sad for sure because I know that's the one he's watching for.
So yeah, the just gonna actually make sure this is as flat as it can be.
So Gary's asking if the Knifewear 8000 is similar to the Naniwa T380 Snow White or the original Snow White, and I have no idea.
Those two are the same.
They're the same?
Yeah, they're the same.
There you go. So they didn't change the recipe at all.
They didn't change the recipe at all. They said they changed the recipe for some, moving from their Snow White, which is they're now a domestic brand, and T380. That's their
They're
international branding. But yeah, when last it was great. The someone was saying that the recipe is slightly different. What's the difference? And they're like, yeah, it's the same. Thickness is slightly different. Yeah. Oh, okay. Thanks.
And the color of the box is probably different.
Yeah.
Get a close up on Naoto's fingers here. I always think that my hands move really fast when I sharpen, and then I watch you sharpen, and I don't think that my hands move very fast anymore.
Oh. You know whose hand was moving super fast? The Mark's, like that former employee, former coworker.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, his hands are so fast, I remember. Because when I started it, there was no wheel.
Oh, yeah, those are
Yeah.
We've had a couple of wheels that, bit the dust on us, and then you have to do all of your repairs by hand for a while, and oh, man.
Yep. When I started, there was no wheel. We did everything by hand. Oops.
Do you know how I learned to use the wheel? This is my favorite Knifewear story. Is I think I'd been at Knifewear for like a week, and I thought I kind of knew how to sharpen, and Kasumi had given me a crash course on proper sharpening and a wheel, and then she'd gone back to Calgary, and I ended up having to work a day by myself in the store, and it was a little bit slow. And so I phoned Kevin and I said, do you have any tips on how to use the wheel? And he said, do you want to know how I learned? And I said, yeah, because I'm trying to figure this out and get good at it. He said, just get a wheel and tell people you're good at it, because then you have to be good at it. And I went, oh, that's super helpful. But, practice makes perfect. So
yeah, definitely. It was pretty, I've caught myself really bad with that wheel before as well.
I do recall scaring, you remember Jordan, really badly once, because when I was learning to hot rod on the wheel, and I let go of a knife, and it just went flying across the shop. Yeah, the things you learn when you're playing with sharp stuff.
Yeah, that's why I've only ordered one of this.
Yeah.
Haven't ordered more, because I don't want the other stores to.
We'll get trainees to wear like the chainmail butcher's aprons and the microplane gloves, so that they have.
This guy's really fast. I was actually fitting one of the half 40 Mugen that we sold at the garage sale.
Yeah.
I was thinning it. It just went really, really quick.
Really quick.
Oh, that's fast. So my fear is this: when you start using this, not comfortable. You'll just
eat a stone.
Yeah, and just ruin the knife.
You'll be like the young kid that was trying to learn. They brought me his knife and couldn't figure out what was going wrong, because he said he couldn't get a burr on the one spot, and so he just kept sharpening, and he couldn't get a burr, and he kept sharpening, and he couldn't get a burr, and he kept sharpening, and then his knife had this like divot in the middle of it. It was like, you went too far. That's
sometimes the people keep doing. Yeah, it's got a little bit more rough. Like I don't know if it's steel or the tiny microchips that was there still causing it to be a little bit. It's actually there's no chips. So it's probably a little bit more bigger carbides that's making it. But this is good though, because it's got a really nice bitey edge to it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's your veg prep.
Yeah. It's like green onions and stuff. That's
exactly
great.
Oh, there's an idea. Damon's saying that we should have a challenge on the show, shooting knives at a target with the wheel. That sounds like occupational health and safety will be coming to visit us.
Yeah. Yes. So.
And TJ wants to know if he needs a leather strap block to remove the burr. Is it a necessity? No. Should you have one? 100%. It just makes it that much easier.
Necessity, no. It's really nice. You know what I have here? I have my
old pair of jeans.
Yeah, old pair of jeans.
my wife gets mad at me because I actually use my jeans all the time, and then I get holes in them because I wear them out.
Yeah. So yeah, it's got holes already. So I decided to come in and I sharpened this piece of. This cut's really nice now. Anyway,
yeah, those are sharp.
But yeah, I have this hanging here, so I can just strap it with the.
Yeah, I have an old canvas strap at Knifewear that I need to replace because it's shredded and falling apart. But I love like canvas and denim for getting real stubborn burrs too.
Yeah, like I just keep it like this. You know how Shiba does? Because Shibata-san has a those jeans just on top of the sharpening wheel that he has, right?
Oh yeah,
grabs it and
just does that.
Yeah.
Blank's asking if that's the Chosera 1000, and I would hazard to say yes.
It is because it gets green.
Oh, there you go. Fighting Usyk says just wrap your jeans around an old 2x4.
Oh yeah,
that would definitely work too. Although I'm a big fan of the suede side on our Knifewear straps with some chromium oxide on there, just for that extra little.
Yeah, today I'm just using the guitar just for you.
No, there's nothing wrong with a little rock and roll. I use the guitar every once in a while too.
So yeah, nicely, nice and flat. I have to wash this. This guy's really good because it's got all the green on it.
Oh yeah.
These grits don't do well for the diamond.
Yeah, they get a little caked with stuff on there, but I really like that stone. Like that would be in my must-have for my collection.
See, I haven't used this stone that much, so I don't have much opinion about it. It kind of slips.
At Kent of Inglewood, I do a ton of pocket knives, and that's my favorite pocket knife stone.
Okay, let's do this guy first, then.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. See, like what I don't like about this stone is that it's tiny bit too hard, and I feel like it's sliding.
I wonder if it's because my hands move slower. I don't know if that would have anything to do with it.
I want to get precision. The bird definitely it's finer. Like if I look at the edge, it polishes much
nice. Yeah, nice polish. Yeah. Do you find that it's bringing up a burr pretty quick?
Very subtle still. Because it should bring the burr very quick. Because I've sharpened it. This is the 4th stone that I'm using, right?
Yeah, it should just pop right up. Yes, blank. That is the Naniwa Pro 1000, Chosera 1000.
So it does bring the burr subtle though.
Interesting. I'm curious to see what happens when you put the VG10 on there. What kind of burr it gets.
I'm actually curious to what happens when I'm putting, because as the our coworker says, this is designed to be like the Rockwell 60 plus and minus.
Yeah.
So I'm actually wondering how it's gonna feel if I'm actually doing with a little bit hotter than this S90V.
Right. Yeah, once you get up to the SG2, which is probably what, 63, 64. Damon says the sound of steel on stone is music to their ears. I would agree.
I really, we should definitely make the SMR.
The ASMR, yeah.
ASMR, yeah.
Blank, that's the S90V. The is Cosmo? Is that the name of the knife maker?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so there's no big chips or there's nothing there.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually treat a little bit slightly different my old jeans, old denim. And it is like really nice and sharp.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, definitely a bit louder than the most knives, like most knife steels that we have, though. Like, say, I'm just gonna try the VG10 right now, okay? Some pocket knife steels, like a little bit more like hard ZDP and stuff like that. That's probably great.
Well, like, I've got this M. Custa VG10, and that's the stone that I would use on it. But I also don't need a pocket knife that's a rocket. I'm pretty practical about the edges I have on anything that's in my pocket. It's got to be able to cut cardboard and cheese, because those are the two things that I like to cut the most.
So yeah, it's got the burr fairly quick.
So blank saying this is the same thing he had on when he did his S90V on his Chaucera. The burr didn't pop up as much, I think.
It's very subtle.
Yeah. That is what you're saying, right? Blank. I'm not.
Yeah, the I don't use this as often, so like, this is great. That
before we had the Sharpening glass, that was the go-to stone for starting a straight razor.
Yeah, the straight razors should be pretty good, as they were designed for the straight razors apparently.
Oh, that makes sense.
So Sharpening is still, like, you can definitely still use the this one for.
We do. It's kind of personal preference, right? Each person in the shop kind of has the one that they like.
Yeah. So the burr was smaller. Definitely came up. This shinier. I will actually have to see with this guy to see how shiny it is.
So they're talking super nerdy stuff now, Naoto. They're saying it's burnishing the carbides.
Burnishing the carbide. Wait a second. There are a few ways to test the burr. You know, like you can do this.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, the burr is too small. You do this.
Yeah.
And do that. And I can see the burr actually this size.
And then get out the old pants.
Yeah, my wife doesn't like to see that, you know. After sharpening on this green thing.
Yeah.
You know, haven't seen the green on my pants. Is not great. Yeah, so it's like super handy. I do that often. So it's really
pretty good.
Like, you know, if you listen, It's much smoother than the.
It's really good right up until the end there. I don't know if that was the corner of the paper or what. Yeah, pretty consistent.
Pretty consistent. Am I in there? Okay. So the this gun, I'm just gonna see how it polishes, like how shiny this Chaucera give to the knife.
Because that's your one with the wider blade road, so we'll be able to see it a little bit easier. Because that's a little bit of a thick boy.
That's the idea.
TJ's asking about a Hatsukokoro Inazuma. What our opinion is.
It's great.
Yeah.
We can't really tell who made it, but we know who made it.
Yeah.
And he's really good.
I was talking about it at home the other day because I was thinking of getting one, and my wife might have yelled at me because she was like, "Didn't you just buy a knife?" And I was like, "Yeah, but it was a pocket knife. It was just a little one. It doesn't count."
Oh, well, you have to go through your wife. I sometimes just like sneak one in.
So every summer she takes the kids to go visit her mom, and maybe, I hope she doesn't watch this, but while she's gone, I just bring a new knife home and use it a bunch and then put it on the magnet. And then when she's like, is that a I don't recognize, is that a new one? No, it's been in it was just in the drawer for a long time. You just haven't seen it for a while.
Right. But the sometimes the Sakai O or the Hado, it's going to change the name.
Yeah.
Although it's not exclusive, I can definitely say that it's our idea of having the black finish. Because what we like about it's not really the cost effectiveness, but it's just really you can see how it's been forged. That's something that we talked about in the Massage Sun's interview, right? It's like forging, you can actually tell how it's been forged rather than just a polish. And as I said, sharpening croche is hard because if you've gone too far, you get this
real easy to screw it up.
Yeah. So. But instead of just leaving the croce, I was like, why don't you just like polish the spine and the choil?
Yeah.
Makes it really good.
Take it to the next level.
Our idea, and they even told me that, this old Sakai or the Hado Sumi would never been a thing.
Right.
So
they're very cool. You have one, right? Do you have a 240?
And I was like, I bought that 240.
Yeah.
And I brought it home with me. And I was secretly using it, that kind of stuff. And she was like, "Well, what? Like, yeah. I'm so happy that this actually came out with the talk with the us talking to those knife makers, and that was like, so I was like,
I think that's a really cool thing about a lot of the relationships that you've made for Knifewear is that we do have connections and access to and things that maybe not that other people don't have, but other people don't have as soon as we do.
Or something like
or the input too, like just being able to kind of collaborate with them and give them ideas of what we think is great. I mean, going all the way back to Masakage.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? With Kevin talking about how tall a Nikiri should be and basically, kind of inventing what a Kamigata was in the Masakage line and the curve and the choil. What does it look like? Is it shiny?
This is great. This here, shinier, and also the bevel is flatter. So how I saw from the first, the Knifewear 1000 was smoky, so it wasn't reflecting the light as much. Just gonna leave it like this.
Shiny.
And the Sharpening glass 1000, it became tiny bit shinier, but because the stone is not as quite hard, the polish was a little bit more. It's not reflecting like a mirror. It was tiny. You see a little bit line left. Then I went to the Naniwa Hibiki, made the bevel really nice and flat, And when that bevel met with this Chaucera, it's really nice and shiny. Flat. Maybe the progression as well, but
that's what I was going to ask, if the progression helped because you made it really flat and then it polished it more.
Yeah, not that too. That too.
TJ's asking what we got at the garage sale. I was very restrained at this year's garage sale. All I got at the garage sale this year was one of those chocobochos.
Oh, nice.
The inexpensive ones. I used it last night to smash up a bunch of roasted chicken. It's awesome. I love that thing.
I couldn't justify myself after buying the Hado or Sumi.
Yeah, you just got one, so
a little while. So you know what what I'm gonna buy next is gonna be a this thing that's hidden in our graphic section.
Oh,
you see there, like handwritten.
Should I pop it up?
I did it last week.
Did you? I'm trying to find it.
Oh, it might have been deleted. I don't know.
I think it was deleted.
Oh.
Yeah, it was.
Some things from the Massage Sons and.
I'm looking. No, they deleted it. I don't have a picture of it.
That's fine. I still have it on my computer, so.
Nice. Secrets.
Yeah.
No, I just got the cleaver. I did pick this up at Kent of Inglewood now that we have Spyderco. I keep throwing it off. I love this thing. I've been playing with it all week.
Yeah, Spyderco. It's they are known for they aren't known for nothing. They are very good.
It's just a solid little knife.
Yeah.
Like I cut open a lot of boxes and I don't baby my pocket knives. You know, I beat them up pretty good, and they don't necessarily need to be the sharpest. I was impressed with how sharp this thing came out of the box. The factory edge on it was actually really good.
Crazy.
I did touch it up on the Nanuel 1000 there yesterday, and it's nice and sharp, but it's super fun.
Yeah, it's impressive how sharp that is actually.
Fighting Usyk says he got a Murata Petty at the garage sale.
No, nice. Yeah, definitely Murata-san's Western handle ones are one of the last ones.
Yeah, we had a 210 in the store here for a while, and I kept debating on it, and then I came in one day and Adam had sold it to somebody, and now I can't buy one. I'm sad.
Definitely, it's a bit quieter. Not necessarily that big of the difference. Again, all of the ones that I tried are 1000 grit. Right. So if it's like 1000, 4000 difference, they're labeling it wrong, right?
Yeah.
But hard stones, like the hardest one that I was gonna actually try today was this guy here, the Kensho Itadaki 1000.
Yep.
They're not necessarily they're not necessarily gray stone for the edge, but it leaves a little bit more rougher feel to it. But let's try.
They sure are fun to polish things with, though.
They're great for checking the flatness. They are checked. Like I just generally use it for checking.
Okay.
Which is not necessarily the best.
Yeah.
Best thing to just one stone to stone for.
Yeah, you have the advantage on most people sharpening is that you have a library of stones to choose from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was really impressed the first time I took one of those guys out of the box at just how white it is. Like it is a shockingly white stone, which is why it is so good for checking the flatness of stuff, because it really pops right away.
It's got a little green on the front.
Well, yeah, after you true a pro, you're gonna have green on everything for the rest of the week.
Let's try this. just fine. Start to become very white again.
Yeah.
This chewing stone we got it for tester.
I was gonna say it's a funny color. I haven't seen that color. It's
basically the same as the 220, but made it look like chewing stone.
Okay.
It cuts good. Bad thing is this just absorbs too much water.
Oh.
So you have to keep them in water to use them. So Kensho Itadaki, the hard vitrified stone, 1000. The final, probably the hardest in terms of, it sounds different. It's much coarser.
Yeah, it definitely sounds different.
Brings the burr really quick.
Well, there's an interesting question. Fighting Usyk wants to know how often you true your truing stone.
I stopped using the regular truing stone. That's really bad.
I just use the diamond plate.
Yeah. I'm bad.
Well, with the amount that you do, I think that just makes sense, right? In the shop, we use the diamond plate as well.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. So that's really probably the how much you should. More you flatten or more often, frequently you do the chewing, you do have to do your chewing stone less often. Does that make sense? Because when you try to make your warped or heavily dished stone with the regular chewing stone, you'd have to work really, really hard, and that has more potential of making your stone warped, right? Or so
if you're truing relatively flat stones, you don't need to fix your truing stone as often. Yeah. But if you're fixing skateboard ramps, you might have to true your truing stone a little bit more often.
Yeah. This is very interesting. 1000. Again, I use this. I don't use them for a the edge, like last edge, or the because as you do all hard, it's a little bit rougher, right? And that edge that gave is much rougher.
Right. That's interesting. Oh yeah.
It's got a little. I actually had to do 1 second, but yeah, it's much rougher. My top two, like from what I did, like from the knives that I sharpened, my top two is Sharpening Glass 1000 and the Knifewear 1000. Well, wait. Well, Hibiki was actually pretty close. But it's bad. Hibiki was...
okay, so rank them again. What was your number one?
Knifewear 1000. Yeah. It was pretty fast, although you need to chew them more. It's fast, you raise the burr, and it gets really nice, kind of nice smooth edge. It's like really well balanced. 2 is very close to Sharpening Glass 1000 or the Naniwa Hibiki 1000. But, as the, we do the sales as well, so let's put Sharpening, glass.
Pick the Sharpening, yeah, because we can get you one of those.
Yeah. Then for the purpose that we did, Naniwa Professional, then K. Because K is not necessarily great stone to put the last edge on. It is pretty rough. But it serves something, does have the spot for the knife sharpening for sure. I'll make sure the edge is straight, flat, and everything with this.
So, and what about as a stepping stone?
It's good. Yeah.
As part of your progression, it's fine, right?
Yeah, because it's fast. It's fast cutting as well.
Yeah.
And also, it may be good to have it on one side so it leaves a little bit more toothier edge.
Right. Like if you do a differential finish, if you're like an 8 and a 1 or something.
Yeah. So that was the good kind of a little bit of analogy, not good in like all black and white, right?
It never is though, is it?
No. There's different type of steel, different heat treatment, different, thinness, thickness, all that stuff plays a huge role when it comes to how difficult or how easy it is to sharpen knives too, right? Sometimes the bigger factories knives like a Miyagi has the really good, the hardness on the steel, because they can do in bigger batches the treatment called the sub-zero treatment, where smaller guys are a little bit hard to do. Like they usually, sometimes they put that in the liquid nitrogen after they quench them.
Right.
So the so-called retained austenite will become a martensite.
Yes. Well, that just about wraps us up for today, I think, doesn't it? But Damon's got a question before we go.
Around time, I think. It's beautiful, beautiful in Alberta, and I'm so happy that our friends in Ontario are slowly open up the businesses. And
yeah, Knifewear Ottawa opened today, and they were allowing 2 people into the store at a time.
Yeah,
and they also had no internet all day, so Lordy was a bit of an angry bear. But
15% capacity.
Yeah,
small stores.
Yeah. Damon wants to know. He says he knows he's off topic, but he wants a couple quick tips for using his new Suita Copa.
The tips, I mean, like Suita, it's pretty good, nice and soft stone to get the. Make sure it's flat. You can work on the Suita a little bit to get the nice slurry, and try a lot of stuff, techniques. That's what one of the advice that I got from the Fujiwara-san, Masashi Fujiwara-san. What he was saying is that change the way you put the pressure on the knife. Sometimes do the small stroke, long strokes. Sometimes it actually changes by actually having the tap water on top of the stone all the time. I don't get to do that because I don't have that water source around, but some actually knife makers do that. They actually pour, like, just run the water while they're sharpening.
You need the watering can system like they had at Tatafusa. It looked like there were watering cans with like a nozzle that they could turn on.
Yeah.
Those things are awesome.
They get shinier as actually doing that stuff. So there are a lot of different finishes. Make sure stone's flat. Try short strokes. Usually works with a little bit shorter strokes and bit more pressure when you try to make the kasumi. But yeah, that's probably something that I would do. But yeah, some news. Again, Sharp Knife Rock, the monthly TV show that we do, some fun stuff, will be aired on Monday next week from 3 p.m. Mountain Time. We'll have the guest, two guests at this next episodes. One from a brewer, female brewer from this local brewery called Establishment Brewing Company here in Calgary. We'll also have the guest speaker, Tiffany. She works for Knifewear and Kent Inglewood. She loves the axes and hatchets, and so she's gonna talk about hatchets, what you need, why you may want 4-5 different hatchets and axes.
7. You need an axe for every day of the week.
7, yeah. The next month we're planning on doing a lot of cool. I've been planning on doing a lot of interviews with the so-called small makers month, or the those small makers who who can produce as many as they would like, we'll like to feature them, right? So
I'm excited for that. Lots of interviews, and as we're going into, I think July is what we're going to call Small Makers Month, where we're going to feature these guys where we can't get all of their stuff all of the time, but that we kind of want to show them off to you and introduce you to them. And I'm really looking forward to your interviews with some of these guys to learn a little bit more about them. One of
the really exciting thing that what we were working on is that the three guys, Manaka-san, Miyazaki-san, and Yoshizawa-san from Nigara Hamono, will be on the screen like this, or some sort of, I don't know which one I should be using, but I asked them like a game show style with the board, and
you do the three cameras like this. Which one?
Yeah. Well, I have to be in there too.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I think you can stack like 4 or 5. You just got to make sure your face is in the middle of it.
Yeah. So I'll be doing that. That'll be. The reason why I asked those three is that.
Oops! I turned you off.
No, you're good. I'm not there. I'm still there.
I couldn't hear you though. There was no volume on you.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. Oh yeah. I guess
you're good now.
Right. The reason why I chose those three is that none of those three lives in the so-called the knife making center, like a Takefu, Sakai. They don't live in those areas. They live very far apart.
Cool.
Son is in the like the northernmost part of Honshu Island in Aomori. Manaka-san lives in like kind of Tokyo-ish in Saitama. And the Miyazaki-san lives in the farther west of Nagasaki. So I like to kind of connect those guys as well. And they're about the same age as me.
Nice.
So like 35 to 38.
Young guns like you.
Young guns. Yeah, up and coming, young guns. All of them are doing something super cool as well. Like handmade Damascus, forge welding and stuff like that. So I am super excited. I am so stoked about having that opportunity.
Awesome. Well, since I remind everybody else, I'm going to remind the people watching, like and subscribe. Ring the bell so you don't miss it when we have these interviews. And yes, Fighting Usyk, I forgot what the dress code was. I have so many Hawaiian shirts. I don't have the mustache. I have a very small mustache in comparison. But if I get to host again, I will wear a Hawaiian shirt just for you.
Yeah. Awesome. I think it wraps probably.
That's it. This was fun. Maybe Nathan can go on holidays more often and I can fill in.
Well, thank you everyone for watching. And next one is going to be I'm not sure what we're going to cover on here, but next one we'll see you definitely on the Sharp Knife Frog.
Yeah. See you guys all on Monday.
Have the like charcoal heat up or fire up. I'll have some barbecue going today or tomorrow.
Bring a beer on Monday too, so you can join us for a drink.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm jealous that you guys in Calgary all get to drink beer while I'm sitting in Edmonton watching.
Well, you can grab the establishment beer.
I don't know if I can. Oh no, I can get them here. I might have one in my fridge. I have one of these.
What? Oh yeah, Basket.
I still have one sitting here. Nice. I've been saving it. So.
Make sure you keep it in the fridge too, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Our fridge broke. I actually have a new fridge being delivered tomorrow.
Oh, well, you have to drink it in this. That's a good excuse.
Exactly. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Thanks, Naoto.
Thanks for watching.